think that's the best introduction I've ever had. Hi, I'm Katie, and I love emoji. I love how broken they are. Now, TLDR, everyone should be using Unicode. Don't use ASCII, don't use Latin 1, use Unicode. If you're familiar with Unicode, you would know that there's UTF-832 and UTF-8. What you need to use is UTF-8. UTF-8 is a completely flexible coding encoding set that everyone should be using. You should be using Unicode. You're using Unicode? Great, you're using Unicode. In Unicode, if I want to encode the character A, I would use this, so I can have A. And if I wanted to encode the Japanese A, I could just use this. And this is all a little bit verbose, so what we can do is we can use a /u encoding so we can show exactly what we mean in 16-bit or in 32-bit. We need the curly braces because Ruby. So if I wanted to show the A, it would be this. A would be this. And say if I wanted to take an E and then an accent and combine them together, I just put the two code points together and it all works magically. So this works for most languages, except for Japanese. Now, okay, the Unicode standard does have hiragana, katakana, and kanji, but until a couple of years ago, they didn't have emoji. Emoji was a big, big, big thing in Japan in the late 90s. Everyone had cool little pages. You remember what pages are? They're like one-line mobile phones in your pocket, and they beep. They could the beepers. And they had all these really cool little characters. And these were really useful. This is around the time that the Unicode standard was being proposed, and so people went, hey, can we have these cool little characters in the Unicode standard? And the Unicode Consortium went, no. So they tried again in 2007, and they said yes. So now in the Unicode standard, you can have penguins, apples, maple leaves, and nothing happened until Apple came along and decided to try to make an iPhone that would work in Japan. And they added all the emoji into the iPhone. And so the Japanese market was like, oh, I can have my emoji, this is awesome. And so they did all this work for the Japanese phones. And then they put it onto the US phones. Now, story goes that this was a hidden setting somewhere and you had to find it and enable it. So one day somebody's playing on their new fancy iPhone and goes, huh, I can send a picture of poo to my friends. And so they send it and somebody else goes, huh, how'd you do that? And then they send and they send and send it, and then emoji explodes in around 2010. Since then, there have been a bunch of new emojis added to the Unicode standard. 2014, we now have a chipmunk satellite. Man in business suit levitating is an official emoji. Because who remembers wingdings? Who remembers webdings? Because backwards compatibility, every single character in those two fonts is now in the Unicode standard, including man in business suit levitating. 2015, we have a whole slew of new emoji, including burrito and taco and unicorn, because burrito, tacos, and unicorns. Australian smiley, which is always important. And just a couple of months ago, we have a whole new set of emoji, including egg. Chicken was added well before, so now you know which came first. Duck, cowboy, and most of these now work on most platforms. If your phone doesn't display these emojis, upgrade, apply your updates, you get new emoji and security patches, but you get new emoji. So you should definitely all update your phones. One particular emoji here of note is the one in the bottom here. This is the facepalm emoji Fitzpatrick modifier 5. This is a combination of two different emoji, facepalm, and a Fitzpatrick modifier, which means that you can combine it so the emoji look like you, which is wonderful. So, if we're going to do emoji manipulation in Ruby, we can put out a /u with our curly braces and then the UTF-8 encoded string, and it will output the gem. We can also go the other way around, where we get the ordinal to string in 16, and then we get out the original string. So you can go backwards and forwards. What you can also do, which is wonderful, because Python doesn't let you do this, you can use emoji as variable names. Yeah. So you can have a variable called gemstone emoji that is gem, and you can use it inline, and it's wonderful. Also, if you want to be finding all the actual descriptions for emoji, you can use Gmoji, which is GitHub's emoji gem. And using the find by Unicode, you can find the description of the emoji. So then if I wanted to find what the snake is, then I could just have a snake on the slides. So this is where it gets complicated. Remember how I said everyone was sending all the emoji to their friends? That was Apple. Apple got a head start because no one else was doing this. The Android implementations were rushed. This is the yellow heart emoji. The image on the left is what it appears to as in the standard. This speckling effect is what British heraldry shields used back in the day, and this means gold. Because they didn't have colours back then, everything was black and white in the old days. So different stripes and different spots mean different colours. This is supposed to be yellow heart, yeah? Yellow? Yellow, yeah? This is what the first version of Android had as their yellow heart. Yeah. But it doesn't stop there. Oh no. This is flushed face. Most of the emoji representations show some sort of shock, like, oh, I've been spotted, as opposed to the one on the end, which is Android, which is more of a, aww. They have completely different meanings depending on what platform you're viewing this code point on. But it doesn't stop there. Who can take a guess about what this is supposed to be? Microservices. No, it's supposed... It's supposed to be hugs. Now, I'm from old school MSN Messenger days and Yahoo Messenger days, so I expect hugs to be like a... except emoji can't animate. So only the one on the end makes sense to me. Also, now, you've been doing a bit of clapping already. When you clap, normally you put your thumb and your palms together. So the one on the end is Windows 8. Yeah. But it's not just the different vendors that can't agree on some sort of standard. Even within the same vendor, things get confusing. These are two completely separate emoji. One is grinning, one is grimace. Can you tell which one's which? There's an entire scientific paper out of the University of Minnesota about how these things are confusing, and there's now science to prove that these things are confusing. The one on the right is grimace, by the way. Yeah. So here's the thing, we have all these emoji, and they're kind of okay, but how do you get new ones in? Because we just need new emoji, right? There's a checklist of things that you need to fill out, and it's completely open to the public. You can submit a proposal to the Unicode Consortium Emoji Subcommittee, and with a valid submission, you can say, I would like this emoji, please. And they will do it if it's within reason. So, the things that will get you accepted. Is it going to help with compatibility? The top line here is Yahoo Messenger, and the bottom one is the standard. There's a cowboy now because there was no cowboy before, and Yahoo Messenger had cowboy. That's cool. Also, if it's for completeness, there was one version of the spec that didn't have the complete zodiac set. That's awkward, because people are born on every month, yeah. Also, if it's frequently requested, because unicorns. Things that won't count, if it's overly specific. Now, we already have wine, we already have cocktail, we already have tropical drink, we already have whiskey. We probably don't need a Manhattan or a Long Island or whatever other cocktail you want. You're also never, ever, ever, ever allowed to have brands. Apple. Now, you're also not supposed to have fads or memes or anything in there. So there's absolutely no reason whatsoever whether there should ever be a Star Trek emoji. That was earlier in the slides. So, as new emoji are brought in, you need to update your systems because it's literally new characters coming in. So you're going to have fun if you've got, say, an old phone and a new phone. because you get what is known as mojibake or mojibake, because I'm a Westerner and I completely mangle pronunciations of Japanese words. So if you have a new phone, you can see all the emoji. If you don't, you may not see anything at all, or you'll see weird characters. But it doesn't matter whether you have a new phone or an old phone if you can't actually process Unicode anyway. You may have seen this as you walked in today. This is a banner that was showing all the different speakers today. In the middle there are tweets. Can you see something wrong with this tweet? So that is a weird string. I don't normally try to inject stuff into tweets. This was taken by Rob earlier, and it's wonderful because somebody got a nice screenshot of it. That's the string that came up. Dude. But I'm seeing some U's in there, and we know from before that a /U starts in Unicode, so if we split that out, and then we truncate it to 4, and then we take it from UTF-8 to UTF-16, and then, oh my goodness, that's what I actually sent. And it mangled it marvelously, and the two ends at the end are new line characters. Apparently, the story goes just before I came up on stage is the application that they're using to do the tweets doesn't handle Unicode. Yeah, that's right. One thing that has to handle Unicode, though, is URLs. This is a valid URL. Spoonemoji.ws is a valid URL because otherwise you wouldn't be able to have any URLs that weren't Latin 1. There is an entire RFC of how to do this, and the Spoonemoji URL is actually this. This is an encoding known as Unicode, which converts any Unicode into just a Latin ASCII set. The algorithm to do all this is far too long to describe in a 20-minute talk, well, 25-minute talk, until I get yelled off stage length talk. However, if you want to actually enter an emoji, the keyboard only has like A through Z and some numbers, yeah? On mobile phones, sometimes you've got a little smiley face that you click or hold press and you'll find a nice little keyboard. On a Mac, if you use Command Control Space, you bring up a nice little searching editor where you can enter in Snake or Gem and you can find all your things. Or you could make an emoji keyboard. Tom Scott, brilliant hacker / troll out of the UK. 14 mechanical keyboards all connected together. Yeah, a little bit of AutoHotkey, a little bit of Lua script, and it worked. This is also the same chap that made an emoji-only network called Emoji. That went about as well as you can expect. Hey, they got approached by venture capitalists, and then they shut it down because it was supposed to be a joke, and then how many 100,000 people subscribed? Anyway, on the web, if you want to use emoji on the web, it's interesting because you have to cater to everyone, no matter whether on desktop or on mobile or in a links editor. What you can do is say what Twitter's just rolled out, where you can have a little button and then you can search for things in there. But you'd have to implement that everywhere. And that's a little bit tedious for every single website to want to implement their own. What you could use is shortcodes, You know, it's really fun to try to find an emoji pun for every single word you want to talk about. This is the closest I could get, come on. So if you want to use and enter cake, say in Slack, you have : cake : and you get cake. However, in HipChat, you don't use colons, you use brackets. So if you go open bracket, cake, close bracket, you get cake. But cake is not equal to cake. Shortcodes are a pseudo-standard and they do not go everywhere. Who here knows of Party Parrot? Party Parrot is not an emoji. Ship It Squirrel is not an emoji. They're not official Unicode characters. If you customize your Slack interfaces, it will work on your interface, but not anyone else's. And it really hurts for cross-compatibility because people expect parrots. Yes. Also, if you run any of these systems which do the auto-completion and shortcodes, please let me disable autocorrect. Please. Because if I just type a simple smiley, it goes to the extreme happiness. Or if I'm embarrassed, I start vomiting money. Anyway, so we know how to get the emoji in. How do we get them back out again? How do we read it out? Well, I work in the web space. On the web, you have absolutely complete control about how you render stuff. It's awesome. If I can make a suggestion, if you do one thing to help with your emoji compatibility, just use Fallback. Use Fallback Images. Don't try to rely on system defaults because it's going to be different everywhere. Some people may have it, some people may not. Some people may think that you're embarrassed or blushing, or just use Fallback Images. So, I'm using reveal.js slides. The next slide is the only one that actually has emoji on it. It doesn't work. There are 2 text characters up there that are supposed to be emoji. And I updated to 10.4 a couple of weeks ago, and now I have a kiwi fruit. This is the first time that's actually worked. Normally it's just a square, which is really annoying. Oh, there's an elixir emoji. Ding elixir references. Yes. Topical. If you want to use something that's already been prepared earlier, what you can use is Twee emoji. WordPress.com uses this. What it does is a client-side replacement of the Unicode characters with fallback images. However, we can raise the bar here. There's a difference between just changing a character to an image, because the images are really, really tiny and you don't know what they are supposed to mean. So, I suggest 3 things if you're going to be doing this proper. Use highlights. Use mouse overs, and think of it in terms of web accessibility. Because if you've just got these little tiny things there and you don't know what they mean, it'd be great if you could have, say, I want to mouse over and I want to see what it's supposed to mean with like a little pop-up. So this is what you could do. You could have your source image as PNG, because not everywhere supports SVG. They really should, but for now, everything supports PNG. If you have the alt text as the actual character itself, when you copy and paste, it will copy the actual character. Now, alt text is different to title text. Title text is what happens when you mouse over it. So if you have the title, which is the name of the emoji, then when somebody mouses over it, they can say, oh, that's supposed to be a tumble glass, or that's supposed to be hugs, or that's supposed to be unicorn. And then for extra bonus points, add ARIA labels. So then screen readers can read it out and know that it's supposed to be an emoji. Now, this is a little bit complicated. So here's something I prepared earlier. GitHub.com/glazon/emojibake is a really basic Ruby function that will take any string, split it out into characters, find each character in Unicode with the Gmoji find by Unicode, and if it exists, it substitutes in the image for you. So that's pretty cool. This will work in Gmoji 3.0, which was released late December, so if you're still on the 2 series, you need to upgrade. But yes. Also, if you're doing anything on the web, please make sure you're using a character set for UTF-8, because the standard in HTML4 is ASCII, and it doesn't work for most of the world. So please just use Unicode. Unicode's fun. So, the future. Guess what? There's going to be new emoji this year. These are all potential candidates for what could be new emoji this year, including broccoli, including hedgehog, including brontosaurus or stegosaurus or brachiosaurus, some sort of saurus, and Stephen Colbert emoji. I know, right? Mind blown, which is also a potential emoji that's going to come in this year. As well as all, this is going to happen around June. You'll hear about things. You'll see that, oh, there's a new Apple update. That's when you get the new stuff. There's also updates for existing emoji. Remember the blushing face from earlier from Android? So that's in Android 4, 5, and 7. There is a duck emoji. Why is there a duck face emoji now for blushing? I don't even. If you're on Windows now, Windows have emoji that now look like actual emoji. The top line is the colored version of Windows 8 and the bottom is the Windows 10 Anniversary Edition. So they look like emoji now, and they fixed the clapping, which is great. I'm making people clap the wrong way. Also, as part of the University of Minnesota thing, Apple have changed their grinning to actually look like grinning, which is great, and most of the other vendors have now updated as well. Also, Apple have updated all their emoji recently, if you've seen. They look absolutely amazing now. They're all shiny, they're all high resolution, and look at that owl. Come on, isn't it so cute? And the fox, and the Humbre emoji, and the avocado emoji. The thing is, sometimes the vendors with their new emoji really don't get it right. Samsung have a Princess Bride emoji. Yeah. Hey, I've only got a couple of minutes left. Stop laughing now. Okay. Other things we can do with emoji are a concatenation of existing emoji into new emoji, or combinations of emoji. So zero-width joiners allow us to, say, combine the white flag and the rainbow emoji and turn it into pride flag, which is awesome. And there's also pirate flag and a few other things. Also, as of really recently, genders are now a thing. So now you can have a male and female policeman, a male and female construction worker. All the Japanese iconography is now available in both men's and women's. Also, gendered professions. So you can now have a black male school teacher or a female blonde mechanic. And not only can you have farmers and chefs, if you combine woman, your choice of color, and a laptop, you literally get an emoji that looks like me. Yeah. So we could take this further. There are proposals being thought of at the moment, being considered at the moment, I should say, including redhead emoji. Yeah. There are several ways that we could do this. You could either just have it as another skin tone, or using colors. So if we were to take this, and we were to say, have the ability to add colors, you remember our Manhattan from earlier? If you had a cocktail glass, and you had the brown, and then you had cherries, you can make a Manhattan. Why not? It's only vendor side. If somebody from Twitter's here, yeah. Oh, that's also an emoji too. Anyway, if you want a whole bunch of more information and regular updates about this stuff, mojipedia.com is wonderful. Jeremy Birch, Melbourne local now in London, keeps up to date all the different vendors and all the different versions. Also, fake Unicode. Yeah, that account's about as fun as it sounds. No, they worked out how the reverse engineering of the sign outside worked for me, and I'm like, yes, take that into my slides, thank you very much. So just some last final takeaways, because that's now an emoji. Oh yeah. There's a lot of power in Unicode, there's a lot of power in communication, but you really need to be responsible about it, because misinterpretations can happen, but emoji are fun. So you should use them. Thank you very much. And I still have people clapping the wrong way. Yes.